Welcome back, everybody. This is Darson Grantham with the Market Makers of Iowa Real Estate Podcast. Today, we have a guy who I met years ago, different industry. We were both in different industries, and we have both made our way to the real estate industry. It's Pete Jones. He's a local real estate agent with LPT, and he is a newer agent. This is February of 2025, and so we'll kind of get his share and opinion on why did he pick the real estate industry and how he's kind of growing his business and what blocks he's building in his business to grow and be the next top agent in Des Moines, Iowa. So, Pete, welcome onto the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before you did real estate, let's hear where you came from prior to real estate.
Yeah. So the last 20 years, first handful of years of that 20, I was in sales. So inside sales, sort of where I started. I was
phone sales? Like you're on the phone, smiling and dialing?
I was at Wells Fargo.
Okay.
So that just narrows it down a little bit. Financial sales, inside sales, working a couple different vendors that they worked with, Morton Buildings being one of them. So that was a good portion of the first period. I was in graduate school at the time at Drake. It's actually where I found my love for marketing. Timothy Johnson was an adjunct professor. He challenged us to start a blog at the end of the class. He said, start writing and just create a blog. And, you have to buy your URL, Pete Jones. You have to buy that. And so certainly done all those things, started writing. Next thing I know, I was like, what's something that people would want to listen to, right? And that's where my old blog, Des Moines is Not Boring, came from. Started writing. Some friends started writing. Next thing I know, we had 20 authors and syndicated by the Des Moines Register. Did that for 7 years. It was a lot of fun. Then I had kids.
What years were that? What years was that?
So we shuttered it. It was 2008 to 2015-ish. And during that time, I found a love for marketing through building that. So that was back, 2008 was back when Facebook business pages just came out. Twitter was coming out. So I built the brand. It was a lot of fun. Got a passion for it. I thought, I can do this for a living. So I started working on the corporate side in several different organizations. So fast forward 10 years or so, got to the point where I was working about 1.5 years, 2 years in each job and finding a next one. And then it was just that chunk of time was the typical window. Started losing a passion for that and thought, let's go on the agency side. Worked on the agency side for the last 2 years. Very much, it was a challenge. It was what I thought it would be, working for an agency, working for 5 different companies, mom and pops to global construction organizations, and got to the point there too where it was just kind of like, I'm working from home, 30 hours billable is my goal, and I'm not interacting with human beings at all outside of a Zoom call or a Google Meet or a Teams meeting. And my family is, everybody I communicate with, which is fantastic, but I wasn't involved in the community anymore. I wasn't able to go on networking lunches because I had to keep my billable hours, and I wasn't involved in anything. I wasn't helping anybody.
You weren't helping the people you were working for? Or you just couldn't?
I was helping them certainly helping them from a marketing perspective,
right.
But it wasn't hitting home as much as, helping somebody potentially find a home.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, what's next for me? And asked my wife one day, what do you think about real estate? And she said, well, I was actually thinking about that for you myself several days previous and didn't want to bring it up. And I thought, okay, let's start the journey. And that was August of last year.
Cool.
And for me, real estate, it checks 3 initial boxes, which are the boxes that I think will make my heart happy. I get to be more involved in the community. I get to talk to people and network and grow and learn. And I get to help people. So, buying and selling of homes is a big investment. It's a big commitment. It's a big, all the things. And so I get the opportunity to help them from that perspective. And certainly 3 things that really propelled me into it.
Yeah. What was your first step? You're like, hey, I'm going to be an agent. What was the first thing that went through your mind?
I had to figure out how to do it, right?
So what did you do?
I went online and saw the courses, the course you have to take and the exam.
How to get licensed was the first thing that went, not how to be a successful realtor.
Yeah. How to get the license was the first thing. And then it was certainly, and that's actually how our paths paths crossed again, if I could speak. Was how to do it successfully was really the next step. But yeah, first of all, certainly, what do I have to do to get licensed? What's the steps? How involved is it? Is there a time frame? Is there a financial commitment? All the things, and looked those up and started down the path. And
did you have your other job at the same time?
Yeah, I started doing the 60-hour course in the evenings on demand. Like, take my son to swimming and would sit in the stands and bang out a couple classes and get those done, and then it was the exam, and then it was the 312s, the classes you have to take at the end to get the things, and then it was interviewing brokers, and that all kind of transpired between August and end of November for me this past year, and then I decided on a brokerage and got my license December 9th, and here we are.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So how did you interview brokerages? Like, what was that process?
So I had a handful of people who I knew in the business previous that connected me to certain individuals at the brokerages, and it was more just there's several names in the city that you know, and so I certainly wanted to dabble in those. I talked to a friend of mine who runs a team and went down that route, and just decided, I'm 47 years old. I want to do this for myself. I don't want to do it on my own, and I felt like Legacy Realty of Iowa and LPT allowed me to have my own brand, maybe more than others, at least from
so you felt,
my perspective. And so I jumped in, and here we are.
Yeah. I've watched new agents come on for 5 years, and it's been fascinating, the dual career where you've been successful in the previous career, like clearly successful in the business side of things. Relaying that into real estate it's not that crazy, and I've seen a lot of success from it. So
yeah, I mean, I certainly have the marketing, what I've learned from marketing, and my niche in marketing, it's been mostly lead generation and kind of the growth marketing. So it's finding the customers for whomever I'm working with, finding where they are, where they're spending their time, and engaging them enough to come to the clients or my website and fill out the form that they're interested, raise their hand. So it's very much what I'm doing now. And I thought I can certainly do that for me and focus on me and my future versus some of the employers I've been working for in the past. So
what, when I'm sure this thought crossed your mind, and how did you overcome the limiting belief of there's 3,000 realtors in Des Moines? How do you make it? Like how did you get over that?
Just making a name for me and who I am and what I stand for, which is probably not too different than what you're doing and from your perspective, but it's really finding the niche. And actually I had lunch with a friend previous to this, and he said, what's your niche? And I said, I'm still trying to figure that out, the exact niche. I mean, I live in Johnston, Iowa. I went to Urbandale High School. I know those communities really well, but that's not unique. Other agents do as well. And so I'm still trying to figure out, what that looks like. But I think it's sort of been hand-fed to me a little bit this year because first-time home buyers are really, really active. 88% of the homes that have sold this year in Des Moines have been under that $400,000 threshold, so sort of that new first-time home buyer. So I'm really focusing on that and putting together, much like you just did, a first-time home buyer seminar soon, and just kind of doubling down on the education piece because I find myself leaning in more towards that. And I think I've been asked, what does 5 years look like for me? What are goals? And I think, being able to teach and help new agents come on board is sort of where I see myself and where I sort of lend my skill sets. So,
I would, the niche thing, you said, Johnson, Urbandale really well. Like that alone could be a niche.
Sure.
Right. Because if you look at the number of transactions done in that area, like you don't need very high percentage to do really good business.
Yeah.
If that's just what you're focused on.
Yeah, for sure. I think Johnston, I looked at the numbers in November last year, and at that point there was like 211 homes sold in Johnston in 2024. And as you know, 2024 wasn't a high volume year. So, 10% of that would be happy with. So,
right. Yeah. It's like the niche thing. I personally had coaches encourage me because I was like an investor at first. So they're like, stay with that niche. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not talking to other people. And they're like, just stay with the niche for a little while and you'll have people flow from other places because they see what you're doing for the niche. So they see that you're successful there, and they're like, oh, if he can do that, he can do this, because it's not that far of a jump.
Sure.
It's going to be like, it's going to, rhyme. It's not going to be exact. Like I've not had a whole lot of high end luxury listings, right? But I've had a lot of, under $400,000, because that's the investor pool that I work with. That's very similar. So, cool. As you came on, what has been your experience talking to other agents? Have they been helpful, diminish, like, have they encouraging you? What's that look like?
Yeah, I've had a lot of, excuse me, I've got a head cold this morning. My voice is so low. A lot of help and success. I think the office, I go to the Clive office of our Legacy Realty team, and I interact with those people, and there's a lot of great people in that office and a lot of help. But I've also seen the flip side. Once you start getting into transactions a little bit, it gets a little bit cutthroat. But yeah, a lot of help. Jim Hibbs is my managing broker, and he's a great guy, and he's been helping me quite a bit. He also got into business at 47 years old from a previous career, and he was sort of walking through things from that perspective, and it's been helpful. So
yeah, it's so fun. So as your first week as a licensed agent, what did that look like for you?
It was stressful. So that was second week of December, right before the holidays. I was working with our marketing coordinator. She's got a new title now, but Connie, trying to get our website spun up, my website spun up, and all the marketing things. And I was trying to be very respectful, but at the same time saying, I can do this. I've done this. This is my passion, my career, my previous passion. But I didn't want to step on toes, and so I was waiting for her to go through the process of getting it done. And it's like, well, but in reality, it's December, second week of December. Everyone's thinking about the holidays. No one's thinking about Pete Jones's career change. So I just had to be patient and wait for the new year, and then go to market with my strategy. But it allowed me an opportunity just to sit back and do a bunch of learning, but also start to build the foundation, right, from a marketing perspective and content, and just get things ready to go. So.
Okay, so from a professional, I'm just going to call you previous professional marketer, onboarding as an agent, like, what was your strategy? What is your strategy? How does a professional marketer think about real estate agents?
Well, it was certainly from my own personal brand, right? I wanted to make sure that peterjonesrealty.com is set as well as it can be. I wanted to make sure that the content on it spoke to who I am and how I want to operate, community focused, passionate.
This is website stuff.
Website stuff, yeah. But then also make sure that I have as much content ready to go, so I can start to roll things out at a cadence that made sense. Then also really focus on. So we use Lofty as our CRM.
Yep.
I'm a HubSpot geek. I grew up on HubSpot, and so it's not that from a marketing automation perspective. So it was just really understanding all the ins and outs of what was available to me in that solution. I don't have as much of the automation set up as I would have liked and still would like to have at this point in February. But
is it possible?
I think so.
Okay.
The biggest hiccup I had was I used Calendly to set appointments. It's not uncommon. But unfortunately, and I set up a workflow in Lofty that if you've gone to my website and you fill out the form, you get an immediate text and email saying, thanks for my...
Yeah.
But the new leads that came in from Calendly were triggering that as renters for some reason. Like the brand new person came in, it was automatically assuming it was a renter. And so it was triggering this workflow. And so people who hadn't gone to my website, who filled out my Calendly invitation, were getting a text saying, thanks for coming to my website. It's just nuances like that I had to think through. And I'm coming from a marketing background. I'm very hands-on in the sense of I want to know what the experience is. And so I took the time to test everything and make sure that, I don't want to be the new guy coming in and just blasting people with content that they didn't ask for. Yeah. So just thinking through and being diligent from that perspective.
Yeah. The HubSpot database, or like, could you just do HubSpot? Is that possible, or is it too expensive? I don't know. I've not heard any other realtors that use a HubSpot, sorry. I
probably could. HubSpot has free solutions for small businesses, so I probably could. And what Lofty is is great, but what it's not is really that email solution. So, or that automation solution. So I probably could. I haven't thought of it.
Just curious. And you probably heard this in the sales and marketing is like everyone hates their CRM because they want to do one thing differently or whatever. And so I've just pot committed to whatever it is. I'm just using it and I'll deal with it because the next one's going to suck too of some capacity, but
I don't hate it. I'm still learning.
That's fair. Yeah.
In case anybody from Lofty's listening.
We won't take sponsorships, but you can chirp in. Follow Up Boss, see for perspective wise, the most transaction type teams and lead generation when they're buying leads and whatnot, Follow Up Boss seems to be the one most of them use, but whatever. Okay. Working together with agents, when you've come on, like what have you seen as this, like, how do you know an agent is successful? I guess that'd be my question. What has been your experience as a newer agent, but you've still you've owned a house, you've worked with realtors in the past. What does a good realtor do?
Oh, you mean not from like the perception of if they're good or not, actually working with somebody.
Yeah.
So we worked with,
it's up to you.
Yeah. Robin Polder was our last agent we worked with. She's no longer with us, but her daughter, Michelle, is. We worked with her to buy and sell, 4 to 5 homes now throughout the years. And she was just really great she just knew it all, right? We had a question, she knew the answer. And part of that was she was in the business forever. Yeah. And I think of Sue Mears as an agent that I reached out to when I started the journey because I've known her for a number of years. I grew up with her son. And she's in the business and she just 35 years, she knows everything too. But that was where Robin excelled, I think, when we'd worked with other agents previous to that to sell a home that we were having some troubles with. And she came in and she obviously had the network, so she knew people who were looking for that type of home. And so from our perspective, it moved quickly. And so she had, that network and the people. She knew all the answers when we had questions. My wife is a researcher, so I think she stumped Robin a couple of times with what she found in her questions. But she was great from that perspective. Looking at other agents in our office now that I am one, obviously, we have an agent in our office who's been in the business for 50 years. He's obviously been successful. He was a managing broker for a bit. And so Ted is his name. I ask him questions all the time because he's been there. He knows everything. There's other agents who have come over, and we're unique in the sense that a lot of legacy agents, because it's only been in business a year, came from other brokerages. So they have history and track record. And so you can look back at those and, number of transactions are really high, so they must be successful. And, you lean on asking them questions and just trying to learn as much as we can, as much as I can from them. But I think successful agents probably, certainly there's that network of people, that buyers, they can bring people to the table, but they are knowledgeable and it's a relationship business. So, obviously they relate and we connected with them at some point. So.
Yeah, for sure. How about when you are working with or have started working with any agents, how do you know, hey, this is going to be a good transaction or this has been a good conversation and this is why, working with other agents?
I think just as a new guy, I'm taking something away from it. It's been valuable. I've learned something. So if I can find value in a conversation, I'm going to gravitate towards that in the future. So to me, that's successful.
Yeah, for sure. How about with lenders, the experience you've had recommending lenders, working with lenders and buyers or lenders and sellers?
Still new to me.
Yeah.
I haven't conversed that much with. We have a lender in our office with New American Funding,
okay.
Matt Nolan. I've worked with him quite a bit, just from a marketing perspective, and just, he's a good guy. We get along. So from that perspective, I've learned quite a bit. I haven't done much outside of that, reaching out to other lenders. I'd be happy to, if you're listening.
Well, don't say that too loud. They will be flocking.
They'll be flocking. All right. And I went to high school with a guy who's in the business, and so I know some people. I just haven't had those conversations yet.
Cool. What questions do you have that you have not been able to get answered from other realtors? Or what's your one where like I get this answer or I get this answer that you would love to get answered?
So the question that jumps out to me when you ask me that question is the buying of leads. I come from in my marketing background, and in different circumstances, we would buy lists from like Zoom Info or other companies, and they were always trash. Like the content, the emails weren't even valid, the phone numbers weren't valid. We would send information out, and the trouble with that is nobody who was on that list knew our brand. So you have to do a lot of upfront selling and upfront content just to try to get them to understand and recognize who you are. And so from that perspective, it's interesting in real estate. You know, the first couple steps I took was, you mail everything out to your SOI. You reach out to your sphere of influence. You start to let the people know who know you that you've made the career change. But outside of that, if I'm looking for leads or looking for content or contacts, I mean, I can do open houses and hope that 3 or 4 people come through and they don't have buyer's agents, which most of them seem to, even though they check that box. Maybe I just need to not ask for that box anymore.
I would say don't ask for that box. But really, because when I don't do a lot of open houses, but I've heard a lot of people do them. And when I have done them, if you ask them if they have an agent, they'll say yes. Mm-hmm. If you ask them who their agent is, they don't know.
Right. Yeah, and if they have an agent is one thing. You ask the follow-up questions like, can I get some more information to you? Can I reach out to your agent to connect the fact that you were here and tell them? Oh, I don't know. You start to see some waning from that perspective. But so I explored the buying lists, and I've heard some of the really, really successful agents buy lists, and they spend a whole bunch of money, or not buy lists, but buy Zillow leads.
Okay, I was going to say buy lists.
Yeah, excuse me. I rephrased. Buy Zillow leads or buy homes.com or whatever it may be. And I looked into that, and I could, for $500 a month, get a zip code in Des Moines I'm not even familiar with, and maybe get 4 or 5 leads from them, from Zillow. And I thought, I don't know if that's the right route. I mean, I certainly want the business, and I want to be able to grow and have success right now, but it's people that don't know who I am. Zillow's probably going to call. If I don't pick up the phone, they're going to call the next guy or girl. And it's in an area of town I don't know that well. And could I reinvest that $500 somewhere else? And so I decided not to do it. But so the question, long answer to your question. I've asked other agents, would you or have you? And they say, oh yeah, we've tried. We've done certain things, and it works in some areas. And if you have a bunch of money, you can try to like buy Johnston, the zip code, or buy Waukee, but you're going to be spending a bunch of money. And as a new agent, I don't have a bunch of money, so I've decided not to. But just trying to really understand where they get their leads from, how they get the referrals, how they've grown their business. And for a lot of them, it's
how agents or
how
other
agents have,
Gotcha.
how other agents have grown their business. And so for a lot of them, you're asking Ted, he's thinking back to the 70s when he first started, how it's different now. So I'm not sure I answered your question, but.
Well, just, the one question. So you want to know, should you buy leads or not?
Yeah.
Or like, what is the answer?
Yeah.
Is there an answer?
Yeah. and it's different for every person. Certainly. Some did. Some do. I know some, like when they have a listing, they'll certainly market the heck out of it, which you should do. But then I've been on the flip side of that. Like I was supportive of somebody who was out of town for a while, and they were sending me their leads that came in from a website, and it was a website that they looked at his property, his listing, but they didn't fill out the form for that property. They fill out a form on something else, and the website just automatically sent them to me, and it's like, okay, well, I know you didn't actually, you visited the website at this property, but you didn't fill out the form for my property, but I'm calling them up like, hey, Pete Jones, hey. And they're like, well, I'm not even really looking. I'm just clicking online. Okay, well, that's great. It was kind of still an opportunity to connect and build a relationship, but it wasn't, I don't know, it was a different experience.
Yeah, it's a scripting thing is what my guess would be. And I don't know that answer because I've not successfully bought leads. but like you can't deny that it can be successful.
Sure.
Because there are a lot of people that do a lot of business buying leads.
It's a volume game, right? Like anything, it's, you connect to 100 people and you do the conversion math down to where you actually get the sales. And you just got to figure out what works best.
Yeah.
So.
It's time, and it's like they're going to be different lead qualities, right? So your Zillow lead, you got to basically jump at the showing that they want, and you go do it no matter what. Kids swimming lessons, I don't know. Like you missed that lead, and you already paid for it.
Yeah.
So that's the situation.
Yeah.
Like, so my YouTube channel, they're my best clients because they've already done all their research. They're analytical usually, and they're like, hey, this is what we want to do. This is when we're doing it. They reach out. Well, it's not a, hey, jump. But if you took all the time that I spent in that, like what is the dollar amount that I've spent in that? I mean, it's considerable. I don't know. Is it as much as Zillow would have been? Probably not, but
it lasts too.
Yeah, it sticks around. Well, the Zillow leads last because the value of them is not one transaction.
Sure. And
if that's done correctly, that's what I've seen and struggled with as agents that have done it for 10 years. I'm like, that's wrong, because you should have oodles of past client business if you provided a good experience. And I didn't know that for my first 2 years. It was not a wonderful experience. We got the good job done, and we did the bare minimum to make sure we closed as close to on time as possible, but they didn't get the good communication, and I can tell that. Got that kind of turned around.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I don't have an answer for you either.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really is to each his own. If it makes sense for you, test it out, try it. I haven't yet, and I don't know that I will. Just seems impersonal. I would rather have the opportunity to build a relationship than go that route, but sometimes you need to.
It's quick hand raises, right? Because they've clearly raised their hand. So, like, the ones that visited a different website, filled something out, and then came to a new, like, they clearly are wanting something in real estate. In the next 3 years, they're probably going to transact.
Yeah.
It's can you be skilled enough to give them enough value and whatever, or scripted well enough to get them to use you.
For sure.
So, I don't know. You get it. It's marketing.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? We've covered. What else did you expect to talk about? I'm trying to think through.
The fact that you stole my idea.
Of the YouTube channel?
No, yeah. I was, so, yeah. You think about, you asked the question about what did I do first? Well, I certainly figured out how to get licensed, and then it was how to do it right. And that was where I came across the guys down in Dallas, living in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Their YouTube channel and passive prospecting. And I thought, that's great, because I don't want to pick up the phone and cold call people. If I can build, a channel and have people know, like, and trust me before they even pick up the phone to call me, it'd be great. And so I got on YouTube and living in Des Moines. I'm like, damn it, Darson, he already has it.
You can still do it.
No, I know. And that's why I decided to bring Des Moines Is Not Boring back. To sort of.
Did you bring it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the website Des Moines Is Not Boring was taken. So I bought DSM Is Not Boring. I still had the Facebook group. I still had the Twitter channel of thousands of people who liked us back then. And granted, it's been a decade, but I thought, why recreate the wheel? Let's just lean back into that and refocus the niche on families, right? Families in Des Moines. Obviously I'm a little older than I was back then. And so just narrowing down the niche to focus on family-friendly events. And I'm thinking, a lot of people these days are buying a home that has a guest room for family who come to town, and what better way to have them find out what's going on the weekend they have someone in town than our site. And I reached back out to a lot of the former authors that were involved, and unfortunately a lot of them have moved on, and understandably so, and we're not interested in contributing. But I thought, what better way to lean back into kind of mimicking what you're doing on YouTube than just to do it on the Des Moines Is Not Boring channel. And so I thought, let's bring it back.
You can do video or blog?
So I'm sort of, I initially started doing YouTube for Peter Jones Realty and for Des Moines Is Not Boring, and I'm trying to figure out the balance between the two at this point, just from a time perspective. Editing takes a lot of time, so and I don't have the resources to outsource that quite yet. So just trying to figure out where the content goes. Whether if I'm focusing on a restaurant in town, should that be Peter Jones or should that be on Des Moines Not Boring? And just trying to figure that out still. But yeah, ultimately it's just celebrating Des Moines in one way or the other. And now, obviously, in our age range, and for me personally, obviously as a realtor, homes is a big component of that. So Des Moines Not Boring is broken out into events, restaurants, shopping, and homes.
Cool.
The 4 categories.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good twist on what you previously did, and tying it all together. And
yeah, and like you said, or maybe I said earlier, they want to know, like, and trust you before they do business with you, and it's just a way to do that. So
yeah, it's for sure. That's why I love the long form. You build that so much faster and heavier than the short form. So
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, Pete, I appreciate you jumping on here. Hopefully your throat's going to be okay after this. But yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next transaction.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.